What happened to Craig? He hasn't been around for a minute.
I actually don't know. I'll ask.
So I don't think that you really fully understand what Coriolis actually is.
That's literally what I just told you.
I know. And I've heard you describe it, and you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. It's not on a merry-go-round?
Go on then, Brenda. What is Coriolis? Why don't you educate us, flat tards?
It's conservation of momentum.
Is not the definition of Coriolis, but that's close.
But that's what gives rise to the effect of the Coriolis effect, is the conservation of momentum within a particular frame.
Yeah, but it's not the same thing, is it?
Of which momentum? Yeah, the spinning person underneath observing the thing going straight? I don't understand. Who's conserving the momentum?
They're in a different reference frame.
No shit. Who's the one that's conserving the momentum?
The object that's moving is.
The object that's moving is going straight, and we observe that straight movement, and it appears to deviate, thus the effect of Coriolis.
Yeah. Yeah, the merry-go-round rotates beneath the object, which travels in a straight line in its reference frame. But in the rotating reference frame, it curves. And that applies...
Pretty sure that's what Fuzzy Swan said, so do you agree with Fuzzy Swan?
So that applies to everything. It applies to bullets, it applies to helicopters and airplanes too.
If the Earth is spinning, yes.
Yeah, it does.
Then why don't we see different flight times?
We don't know that it's spinning, you're just telling us it's spinning.
It does. It does.
But you're just saying that.
Well, you can measure the Coriolis effect by showing how much something deviates, how much it deviates from the
yeah. Where on Earth do we see deviating airplanes above our heads on Earth?
Not for airplanes, but for say a bullet.
Oh no! You did. You literally no. You did just say everything. Bullets and all these things.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Planes included, but you just said that. No, well, not planes, obviously.
Well,
so
no,
I'm very
confused. Say you would. So it's a very small effect, right? So the engine
over a 10-hour flight. Really?
Yeah, it's a very small effect. So the
well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
The pilot is constantly adjusting his course.
Well, what if you're going the opposite spin of the Earth? How are you adjusting for that? That would just mean the Earth is rotating underneath you as you are going towards whatever destination you're going to, increasing your flight time.
No, it wouldn't do that.
But that doesn't happen.
No, because...
You just said sure.
Yeah, it wouldn't decrease your flight time. No, of course not. Why would it do that?
But you just said, oh my God. Am I the only one who hears this? Someone help me.
No, I hear it as well. I just thought you might enjoy getting on with it.
I understand. You're repeating.
I thought I might enjoy it too.
Yeah, I understand. You're repeating Nathan Oakley's lies about the Coriolis.
No,
Fuzzy Swan, how many times
listened to that show?
How many times have you been on the Nathan Oakley show, Fuzzy Swan?
It was a while. I mean, I listened to it a long time ago. I've lost probably 500 episodes, but that was years ago. I haven't listened to that in a while. Every once in a while.
How many times have you actually been on the Nathan Oakley show?
Oh, a dozen, little bits here and there. A dozen times.
I'm just wondering what that has to do with the actual argument. So if two people say an argument, then it's incorrect because two people said it.
No, it's incorrect because the origin. This is Nathan Oakley's and Quantum Erasers misrepresentation.
No, it's not actually.
No, but it's not incorrect because they said it.
It's not incorrect because they said it. It's simply incorrect.
Oh no!
Right.
If Death by Burgers is bad,
just give me a sec. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this.
Okay.
What does Nathan Oakley have to do with this?
Because his misrepresentations have permeated the flat Earth community, and everybody.
But it doesn't.
Everybody's
That
repeating.
doesn't matter.
Sure, it matters in that he is spreading disinformation.
No, because the argument is either correct or incorrect, regardless of who said it.
Correct, and the
So I don't know what it's got to do with Nathan Oakley.
Okay, the reason that it's incorrect is because objects conserve their momentum.
But why
So
can't
we're
you
talking
just
about the
get on
argument
with-
itself now, right?
So the reason a helicopter does not fly, or planes don't reduce airspeed or flight times going west, is because they retain their momentum they had when they were on the ground. So a plane going from the east coast to the west coast, right?
What
It
momentum?
The momentum it had when it was on the airstrip.
Oh wait, Earth is spinning. How can you prove that first?
If the Earth is spinning,
You're just assuming. You're assuming. Yeah, if the assuming the Earth is spinning,
this is
blah blah blah. The Earth is spinning.
right. So this is what Nathan says. Nathan says if the Earth is spinning, then flight times going west would be reduced. But he's wrong, because
No one cares what Nathan Oakley says. He's not here.
it's just the
Why
argument.
are you bringing
it's
it
just
up?
the argument. It's
Yeah, but
just,
why are you bringing him up?
it's just
I don't care
the
what he has to
argument.
say. It's like I'm not saying to you, oh well, Jem Panda says this, therefore. But no one cares what Jem Panda has to say. You're talking to me. You're talking to Fuzzy Swan. Address the people in the room.
It's just the argument. The argument is,
I don't care about Nathan Oakley.
I wasn't going to say his name. Just relax. The argument, the claim is that if the Earth is turning, flight times would be reduced. But flight times are not reduced because they retain, they conserve their momentum. So if they're at the equator, the plane resting on the tarmac is traveling 1,000 miles an hour. And when it takes off and flies west against the rotation of the Earth, it still has that momentum going east 1,000 miles an hour with the Earth.
What if it starts flying in a different direction?
Then it would adjust accordingly.
Okay, and then why don't bullets do this?
They do.
So, can you show us?
Yes, that's why bullets.
And you can show us. Okay,
that's
sorry.
why long-range bullets will miss the target, either to the left, to the right, above, or
Yeah.
below, depending.
So I know how it works, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, on the direction, I get you. So, but a plane, it's got it. How long does it maintain its momentum? I mean, because of airspeed, wind, air. What is it? Air currents or air resistance and all that kind of stuff. So how long does it retain its its momentum?
As long as until there is another force applied to the plane.
Okay, so over a 10-hour flight, how long does that momentum retain itself?
As
on the
long
plane?
as there's a force being applied to the plane, it keeps its momentum.
You're missing. No, that's not.
For
Okay,
the
so
entire time.
the entire time.
Unless there is a force applied, and that would be the engine of the plane and the lift from the wings. So that would change
Okay, so
it.
once, that changes the momentum, right? It alters it. It no longer is retaining it, especially if you're flying in maybe a different direction.
Right. It would add or subtract.
No, right. So now, once after a certain amount of time, the plane is now no longer maintaining that momentum and is now free to move about over an Earth that's spinning underneath it. Correct?
No, it's always free to move about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you just said, are you fucking kidding? It's still
When it takes off from the
remaining. Still,
when it takes off, it's on the airstrip at the equator. It's traveling 1,000 miles an hour. It's pointed west against the rotation of the Earth. It takes off into the air at say I don't know how fast planes travel, 100 miles an hour. It's going 100 miles an hour west, but it's still going 1,000 miles an hour to the east.
Okay, and then the plane takes a turn and heads north or south. Now, how much momentum is being maintained?
Well, it would change because north or south of the equator, the Earth beneath it is traveling at different speeds. It's traveling slower. The Earth travels fastest at the equator and slower as you get close to either pole.
So the Earth is still spinning underneath the plane,
Right.
though, right?
Correct, and that
Okay,
would cause
so-
a deviation.
so
It
it's
causes
still-
a deviation because it would still retain its 1,000-mile-an-hour rotational speed, and so it would.
If it's
move-
retaining it, it's not rotating underneath it.
No, the Earth would rotate underneath it because it's going slower.
But you just said it's maintaining its momentum.
Its momentum, yes, it carries with it, but that's independent of the rotation.
But then
of the
you
Earth.
said, okay, yes, and then eventually, after a certain amount of hours on that flight, or more minutes or seconds or however many, whatever you still haven't answered. But how long whenever it loses its momentum
It doesn't
and is now
lose-
free to move about
That's not how
without
it works.
any momentum, and it's under its own power. It's under its own power. No
It's
momentum
always-
is being maintained. No, you just said
that's
until
not
a
how any
new
of that works.
force is being activated, which is the engines. You just said
It always has its momentum. It always has it.
no.
doesn't
You
use-
just said
it
until
doesn't
you said
use it
you
up.
said until another you said
Yes.
until another force acts upon it like an engine. But
Yes, yes.
pretty sure, pretty
would add-
sure that the engines were involved in taking the plane off the ground in the first place. So the engines
Yes.
were always being operated on.
Yes, they add and
Okay,
or
so-
subtract. They add or subtract, but it always has that momentum that it carried from when it was on the ground. And so since the
So
ground
how long does it maintain that momentum?
the whole time.
Oh, so air resistance has nothing to it doesn't slow it down?
Well, air resistance would be a force, so it would change it a little bit.
Okay, but you just said it maintains its momentum the entire time. So
Yes.
pick one.
Well, it subtracts from it, right? But it's not like it uses it up. I mean, if the airplane runs out of fuel, it drops to the ground, it hits the ground, it's still going 1,000 miles an hour to the east.
And it wouldn't glide ahead of time?
Well, let's say it did glide.
I mean, you know planes can glide, right? What if it glided for
Yeah,
as long as it could possibly glide for?
yeah.
Is the Earth not rotating underneath that at that
Yes.
point? Like
it
there's
would-
still
the Earth
wind
rotates
resist.
it-
There's still resistance in the air.
Yeah, all of that. The Earth rotates it underneath it, whether it's powered flight or gliding. Whether it's a bullet traveling, the Earth rotates underneath
okay.
it. But how
So
much?
again,
How
so then
much
why
depends.
don't we see different flight times going in different directions if the Earth is indeed rotating underneath it? Because if you're saying it's maintaining its momentum, then it's not rotating underneath it because it's maintaining it. Pick one.
So the flight time is going to depend on, because everything is moving, the Earth is moving and the plane is moving. The flight time is going to depend on the airspeed relative to the ground. But the ground
So
is
no
moving.
speed. So no speed.
Yeah.
I don't see how you get that from that.
Well, if it's
You
maintained.
just say,
Oh my God.
yeah, you just said atmosphere moves with the Earth. Right.
The atmosphere, well, more or less with the Earth.
Right. So no speed.
Well, which
I
is
don't-
it,
that
more
doesn't
or
go
less?
well. It depends on the wind.
Which is it? Is it more or less? Because
So
that
on
definitely
a-
matters.
On a still windless day, the air is traveling at the same speed as the Earth. It's rotating at 1,000 miles an hour.
Wait a second. I'm curious. The air traveling. So air is moving inherently, but a plane moving through the air is encountering air resistance, correct?
Yeah, of course.
And why is that not slowing it down? Why is that not losing its momentum if it's
Air
also
resistance-
supposed to be flying and going in the same same?
It would.
Like, what are you talking about?
Air resistance would slow it down.
No, I thought you just said it maintains its momentum the whole flight.
Yeah, so when if an airplane takes off, the air resistance slows it down. Let's say it's a paper airplane. I launch it from my window, right? There's no wind at all. The paper airplane is traveling 1,000 miles an hour along with the air.
I'm not talking about wind. I'm not talking about wind. I'm talking about air resistance.
Right.
In a still calm air, there's no wind, but it's still air resistance, correct?
The paper
Even though there's no
airplane-
waves, there's still water, right?
Right, the paper airplane will encounter air resistance, friction, which will slow it down and it will fall to the earth. And it will
Wait,
still
hold on, but that
and
doesn't-
it will still be going to
If
1,000
it's
miles
slowing
an hour.
it down, it's not maintaining momentum. If it's being slowed down, what?
It's still going 1,000 miles an hour. It hits the ground. It's still going the same speed.
For
as the
how
ground.
long? How long can it encounter How long can it encounter constant friction and resistance and still maintain its momentum over 10 hours?
It has.
How long
it has it
can
the
it do that?
entire time. So the airplane,
It-
the paper airplane has.
It can
has the
it can both
momentum.
maintain.
No spin again.
The paper airplane is traveling 1,000 miles an hour to the east, along with the air and the ground, the entire time. It launches from my balcony, and it flies. It gets air resistance. It slows down, and it drops to the grass, to the lawn below. Right? It's still going 1,000 miles an hour the entire time. It's just
So it wouldn't deviate.
relative. No, it's just
So there's no
relative.
deviation. So there is no deviation.
So
It wouldn't
It's moving
deviate.
1,000 miles an hour. It's not deviating.
It travels relative to the ground. As a bullet,
Which is also supposed to be moving, right? The ground is also moving.
yes, it's rotating with the Earth at 1,000 miles an hour.
So it's not
No spin.
okay.
There's no spin.
So
it is spinning.
wow,
Everything is moving.
No.
So
this is
if
insane.
Yeah.
If I'm
Flip flop,
in a
flip flop, flip flop,
no,
flip
it's not
flop.
flip flopping. If I'm in a train,
Yeah, it is.
if I'm in a train traveling
No,
60
we're
miles an
talking-
hour.
You really don't hear yourself?
We're talking about planes now.
No, if I'm in a train and I'm
You just
traveling
said-
60 miles an hour, the air in the train is traveling 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I pour a
We're
glass
not
of
in a
water.
train.
No. Is this a? Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Wait a second. I'm sorry. Is this train a convertible or a normal train?
It's just a normal
Because-
train.
Okay, so we're gonna need your example to be in a convertible train because that's
Why?
more realistic to the situation. Because Earth
Why?
doesn't have a fucking container.
Yeah, it does.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
No, the container. The
Welcome to Flat
container.
Earth.
The container is gravity.
Gas does not contain gas, and you can't.
Oh, he jumped. So when I
don't
throw
know
the
what
paper
happened.
plane out, yeah, I think he
The
lost.
Earth has gravity, and the gravity
I'm-
contains everything onto the surface of the Earth. It's a container.
Yeah, that's nice, but
I agree with you that in order to have air pressure, you must have containment. We have containment. It's called gravity.
yeah, that's a nice story. So when I throw out an airplane, a paper airplane, does the Earth rotate underneath the paper airplane now?
Yes.
It would land somewhere else.
Yes.
I don't observe this in reality. When I go
Right.
play ball with my friends,
Well,
I shoot a ball and it doesn't land anywhere else.
yes, it
doesn't
does.
deviate.
The ball does,
Doesn't?
and the airplane does, and the
No.
paper airplane does too.
No, no,
15
no,
degrees an hour is not very much.
Yeah.
15 degrees
No,
an hour
how much?
is
How
not
much?
very much. You
How
wouldn't
much
be able
meters per second? How much meters per second would that be on the equator?
It's 15 degrees an hour.
No,
It's 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah. What? Yeah. How fast? How fast is that? Yeah. Okay.
How many
It's
meters per
15
second?
degrees. It's 15 degrees in 1 hour. That's
Yeah.
not very much.
It's 400 meters per second, right? On the equator.
If
Right.
you say so, is that the number
is
you
that
have? I'll accept
isn't
that.
that mu-
I'll accept
Isn't
that
that
number.
is that not much? 400 meters a second.
If everything's going 400 meters a second, then it's
Yeah, but
in
everything
relation.
isn't.
Then it's in
But if
relation
you-
to everything else.
If
Yeah.
If I
so
were
it didn't deviate.
if I'm
It didn't deviate then. That was me.
exactly.
Is
So
oil
if I'm in a
supply-
convertible driving down the highway in a convertible, and I launch my drone, is it going to maintain its momentum, or is it going to be
Yes.
very windy trying to launch that drone? But why don't we feel all this wind at the equator?
Because the air, unlike your convertible, is traveling with you.
Okay. So no deviation then, no Coriolis. Okay,
Well,
cool.
there would be deviation. Yes, of course there would be.
But then therefore we would see deviation in the air.
You would see 15 degrees in 1 hour. Good luck trying to measure that.
Yeah.
No,
Good luck trying to measure.
you
15
really don't
degrees
see
in
it,
an
Brenda.
hour.
I really don't. This has been, Brenda, this is years, yo. Have you never listened back to yourself and see how much you contradict what you're saying? You really? This
I
has
have-
been years.
Honestly, Fuzzy, I never have contradicted myself. And everything I've
You
said
did.
has been high school science.
Literally just did.
I did not. Everything I've said is high school science.
Maybe high school pseudoscience. Sure.
No,
How
this
fast is 15 degrees an hour, Brenda? How fast is 15 degrees an hour?
It's 15 degrees in an hour. That's how fast it is.
Yeah, we're standing on the surface of the Earth that's rotating 1,000 miles an hour, right? 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So when I leave this reference frame and I throw a paper plane, right? It should
Sure.
deviate with
Yeah.
1,000 miles an hour.
No, it would still, well, the airplane still retains that momentum of traveling 1,000 miles an hour.
You just said that we would see 15 degrees an
Yes.
hour.
Yes, you would. How long
fast
does a
is
paper?
this?
How long does a paper?
Why does the airplane see 15 degrees per hour?
How long does a paper airplane stay aloft? 10 seconds?
Why does an airplane not see 15-degree deviation?
They do. They do
They don't.
experience
No, they
Coriolis. Yes, they
don't.
do.
No, they don't.
The
Do drones.
pilots correct for it. Yes, they do. They correct for it.
Oh, they don't. They would have. They find a destination. They pick their destination and they fly to it. And Earth does not
Well,
rotate
yes,
underneath it. If Earth was rotating
because-
underneath it, they would need to fly to the destination where it was going to be in 10 hours, which would in some
Right.
cases be in the opposite direction.
No, it wouldn't be, because you're not taking into
Yeah.
account that they retain the 1,000 miles an hour rotational speed of the Earth even when they are take off from the land. They still retain that
Okay,
momentum.
so if they're
And they
then
retain
no
that
deviation
momentum.
then.
They
Then
retain
if
that momentum.
they're retaining
the
it, then they're
entire
not deviating. They're not deviating if they're maintaining it.
That's not the
How can you
Coriolis.
how can you deviate and maintain at the same time? How can you do that?
The Coriolis is the deviation in spite of the fact that they maintain their momentum. It's the very conservation of the momentum that causes the deviation.
And that's why we don't see any deviation.
But we do,
That's supposed to be deep. So why does the Foucault pendulum deviate?
due to the conservation of momentum. And the Earth rotates underneath the pendulum at 15 degrees an hour. And you can calculate.
But you just said that the planes don't show any deviation. But why did Foucault pendulums show deviation?
They don't show it because they have engines, and the pilot makes adjustments during the flight in order to reach his adjustment. reach his destination.
Why would they need to adjust for a deviation that doesn't occur?
It does occur. They do make additions.
But you just said it maintains. If it maintains, then why is it occurring? If it's maintaining,
it's the maintaining of the momentum that causes the deviation.
You just said there is no deviation.
No, I said that there is a deviation. It's in addition to their conservation of momentum.
So it both conserves the momentum, but it also deviates from that momentum.
It's because they conserve their momentum that causes the deviation.
So you agree that there are two reference frames.
And since they have, one second. And since they have engines and they can pilot, they can correct for that deviation. But it's the conservation of momentum that causes the deviation in the first place.
You said gliders. You said gliders do or do not see this deviation.
They would see it too.
But they don't have engines.
Well, they have forces applied, and they can steer.
Yeah, air resistance to slow them down, negating every second that they're in the air, the momentum that they were retaining.
Yeah, they could also gain altitude, and they can gain wind speed by gaining altitude.
Brenda.
Steering.
If I'm in a speedboat, right? If I'm in a speedboat and I jump off and dive into the water, do I retain the momentum of my speed of the speedboat, or does the water slow me down eventually?
No, you retain the speed of the speedboat. That's why the water hits you at 60 miles an hour.
Right, and how long does that water? How long do I maintain that momentum of the speedboat?
The water would absorb that. Right, and if you're going fast enough,
right, just a second or two, like instantly,
it'll break your neck. It'll break your neck.
So
if you jump out of a speedboat
that
going
resistance,
really fast,
right? That friction and that resistance slows me down, right? It slows me down, right? That resistance.
Yes.
So the air has friction and is causing resistance on things flying through it, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's So how is it maintaining? How long does it maintain that momentum of the Earth's spin?
As long as
before it's null and void, like me bobbing in the water.
Well, in the case of
let's use a glider. Let's use a glider.
Yes, okay, in the case of a glider, it would maintain that until it falls to the ground and crashes, right? And in the water case, jumping out of a speedboat, you would maintain that momentum. You would travel a little bit in the water, and then you would stop, and then you would sink. You would sink.
No, I mean I would float and I can swim, but but the whole point is that I would be instantly starting to slow down from the very moment I hit the resistance.
Right.
Correct?
Right. And the paper airplane is instantly slowing down the moment it leaves your hand.
Okay. So now when I then. So once I'm fully negated, so say I jump off of a speedboat and then I get onto a jet ski, I'm now free to move about and I'm no longer retaining any motion at all or momentum of the speedboat I initially jumped off of, correct?
No, you would retain the speed of the speedboat.
I just slowed down. I jumped out of the water and I'm now in the water. Right now I'm completely stopped. I have no more momentum from... Right, and then I get on a jet ski and start going around, powered.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so now all of a sudden our glider is going to kick the engines on, and it's now flying around.
Okay, sure.
How fast is Earth rotating underneath that plane?
The Earth is still rotating at 1,000 miles an hour, and
So why don't we see a deviation if I'm now free to move? No, why? Okay, I just negated all of my momentum. I've negated all of it.
No, you didn't.
It's now gone. Yeah, I did. I just showed you that I did.
No, you
I flew around an airport and I negated all of that momentum.
No, you only brought yourself into equilibrium with the surrounding atmosphere, which is always going rotating with the Earth. at 1,000 miles an hour. You brought yourself into equilibrium. When you jump into the water, you bring yourself into equilibrium with the water, which may be a current traveling 10 miles an hour.
And then now I have no more momentum from the initial speedboat. Correct? That is gone. Right?
Yes, but you're at equilibrium with the water, which is also moving.
Yeah.
Right? You're at equilibrium.
Right? I would just keep going. If the water was moving at the same speed as the speedboat, I would just jump into the water like I'm just jumping onto a different part of the same escalator. And I'm just going the same speed. Right?
So you're jumping from the boat into the water. The water is traveling at, say, 10 miles an hour in a different direction. You jump into the water, you'll lose your momentum. It will be absorbed by friction with the water. You'll come to rest with the rest of the water around you, but you will be going 10 miles an hour in the direction of the water. And it's the same with the atmosphere.
Right. And I'm not in no way am I maintaining my initial momentum, right?
Well, in that case, it's absorbed by friction, right? By friction with the air.
Just say yes. You can just say yes. I am now no longer traveling the speed of the speedboat that I jumped off of. Right?
Correct.
That's all. Right. So in an airplane, how long does that take for me to negate that momentum? Because eventually it will happen. Correct?
The airplane never leaves the water. The airplane is always in the air. It doesn't leave the air.
Ooh, boy. So there's no Coriolis effect. If the air and the Earth is rotating at the same speed, there's no Coriolis effect.
No, there is.
What are you talking about? No, you just said if the air is, guys. Oh my God!
It's not like It's not like the airplane is out in space. It's still in the atmosphere.
No, there are two different reference frames: the reference frame of the Earth and the reference frame of above the Earth in the air.
Well, sure.
Those are two different reference frames, right? That's how bullets are supposed to be deviating, because they're in two different reference frames.
Right. The reference frame is the airplane, and it's traveling at its speed.
No, the reference plane. No. It is in the second reference frame of the sky. The first reference frame is us on the ground, and the second reference frame is up in the sky.
No,
separate from the spinning ground.
No, the reference frame is the airplane.
No.
Yes.
We never observe Coriolis from the thing that's hovering above, or you don't observe Coriolis from the pendulum. You observe it from the ground.
Well, correct.
Okay. Welcome to Flat Earth.
I don't see that.
You really don't see how you're negating, like.
If you're riding on the pendulum of the giant Foucault's pendulum, you would experience the Earth moving beneath you while you just move back and forth, right? You would not experience yourself turning.
Yeah, I would be in a separate reference frame.
Right.
But we don't call that Coriolis. We call Coriolis the deviation. It's reverse Coriolis. It's reverse. No, it's not. But we never.
They both are Coriolis.
Okay. It's the reverse Coriolis. Yeah, but it's not the way it's supposed to be for bullets. You can't stand on a bullet and observe anything from the bullet, of the reference frame of the bullet. You only observe it from the ground.
You can be from the point of view of the bullet. From the point of view of the bullet, you travel in a perfectly straight line.
I know. No Coriolis.
No, the Coriolis.
The only reason.
You
can't have both things. Can't be both Coriolis, right? No, in that sense, it's just going in a straight line, and all it knows how to do is go in a straight line. It doesn't know how to do anything else. It just goes in a straight line.
Correct.
So it's not deviating.
No, the bullet would experience the Earth deviating.
Right, but again, we are observing the bullet, and that's what's causing Coriolis.
Well, the bullet would experience
for us observing the bullet, the bullet.
Yeah, the
yes,
bullet would
that is Coriolis.
Yeah, the bullet would experience the Earth rotating beneath it.
Okay, fine.
And we
That
experience
still doesn't
we
happen.
experience the bullet deviating from what we thought was a straight path.
Yeah. Two.
It's the same
Right,
thing.
and the reason why it's going in a straight path is because so you're saying that the air is different and separate from the ground. It can't be both spinning at the same rate as the ground and going at the same rate and a different rate.
The frame of reference is the bullet, not the air. It's the bullet.
No.
Yes,
If the air is spinning at the same rate as the Earth, if the Earth and the air are rotating at the same rate, then the bullet would not see the Earth rotating underneath it.
The inertial reference frame is the bullet traveling.
Will the bullet observe the Earth rotating underneath it if it's in the same reference frame of the Earth? It's rotating. If the air is rotating at the same reference as the Earth, and the bullet is in the air, and the air is moving with the Earth, it would not see Earth rotating underneath. Correct or incorrect?
Incorrect. It would see the Earth and the air move underneath it.
But it's in the air.
So what? It's the bullet
That's the reference.
No.
Oh my God! You are literally don't understand.
The bullet is the reference frame.
No, it is not. The reference. So when Coriolis, the Frenchman who came up with the term, was throwing the ball on the merry-go-round, was he standing on the ball or the fucking merry-go-round?
On the merry-go-round.
I'll take Brenda's double speak.
Thank you. That's where. I mean, this is unbelievable. Double speak and double think working in perfect tandem. It is unreal.
It's just two different points of view.
Right, but you're saying that if Earth is rotating with the atmosphere, then it's not two different points of view. It's one, because everything's rotating at the same rate. The only reason you have a second reference frame is because the thing leaves the spinning reference frame. It has to leave it in order to deviate.
A reference frame is just a
For fuck's sake, it has to leave the oh my God.
This is the poison of Nathan and Quantum Eraser. This is their poison. So the reference frame.
No, this is the poison of the education system of this civilization that we call civilized. This is the problem.
Okay.
Is that we're taught nonsense and we take it, and when you're too smart for your own good, you're too book smart, and this is what the book said, therefore it's right. Well, you're not thinking for yourself.
Well, the difference is that using reference frames, I can hit a distant target with an artillery shell and you can't.
Well, the difference is I played football and I was a deep snapper, and I worked closely with the kicker. And the coaches never said anything about Coriolis effect.
Yeah.
Ever?
Yeah, because it would never come into play. It would never.
Oh my God!
So you're
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Oh, someone called Neil deGrasse. Please, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, what did he say? It was like 3/4 of an inch.
He said it was if any way calculable. He said it exists, therefore it exists.
Yeah. It was like what 3/4 of an inch. So that's never going to come into play playing a football game.
Apparently, it won the game.
It's the game of inches. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, but it didn't. The Coriolis simply assisted the field goal. Right. It made a very tiny effect on it.
But I'm really confused. I don't understand. So the ball is traveling in the air, and the air is also traveling at the same rate as the Earth spinning underneath it. So what the fuck is deviating?
The path of the football.
It's traveling in the same speed, the same thing. Everything about it is in the reference frame of the thing that's rotating.
No,
it never leaves that, according to you.
The football is the reference frame that deviates.
No, it's not. Are you literally that stupid? You don't understand that the Coriolis is observed from the thing that's rotating.
It's from either point of view. It doesn't matter which one you take. It can be. It works for either
It's too
way.
bad we can't put ourselves on a football.
Well,
God.
we can.
But no, it can't. No, it literally can't. If the air is moving at the same rate, it's like if you're throwing something in water and water is also spinning at the same rate, it's not going to go any. It's just because it's in the same medium. It has to leave in order to deviate. It doesn't matter who's observing it, the bullet or the person on the ground. It has to leave the spinning reference frame. If it doesn't do that, and the thing that it's in is also rotating at the same rate as the thing that's spinning, then you would never see any deviation.
So the moment a projectile leaves, say, a gun, right? It is its own reference frame.
In what no, well, where? Because the Earth apparently is rotating at the same rate as the atmosphere, and the
Yes.
bullet is now in the atmosphere. So the
Yes.
atmosphere is rotating with the Earth, and the
Yes.
bullet is rotating with the atmosphere with the Earth.
But
No deviation.
No, it has been given a force in a certain direction, and that force is what will propel it in a straight line until a different force is applied to it.
Yes.
And we're assuming
It's going in a
we're
straight
assuming
line,
that-
right.
We're assuming that friction with the air is negligible, right? It's
Okay, so
negligible.
the bullet going in a straight line is still going in a straight line, and the reason why we appear to see it deviating is because we're rotating underneath it, and it is
Yes.
separate
Yes,
from
yes.
what we're doing.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so if I was standing on a airport runway and an airplane took off from where I was standing watching it,
Sure.
and it took off into the air like a
Yes.
bullet does, it is now going in a straight line, and while Earth rotates underneath it, correct?
Yes, at 15 degrees an hour. So it takes off. It takes 30 seconds to achieve airspeed. So you're not going to
Okay.
be able to see 30 seconds of 15 degrees of an hour is
Okay,
is
so-
imperceptible. It's
Okay.
imperceptible
Yeah.
to your
All
eye.
right, so that's cool. So it takes off. It takes off, and I'm watching it, and I'm rotating underneath it as it goes in a straight line. Right? The
Well,
airplane.
the difference here is that he's got.
Hold on. Let's just hold on. I know. No. He's going straight. He's going straight right now. He's going straight. He takes off and is just going.
He's not. He's
I'm
going,
telling you, I'm the pilot, and I'm going straight. Okay? Autopilot is straight. It takes off and goes straight.
Okay.
I continue to rotate on the Earth underneath it while it goes straight, and I observe it to be having Coriolis effect, correct? That's what the Coriolis effect is?
But
Okay. So, wait a second. Right, and immediately after takeoff, it shows a deviation, right? Because it's left the thing that's rotating, and I am now watching it as it would go straight. I'm now continually curving underneath it while it goes straight, correct?
15 degrees an hour, not within seconds or minutes.
Okay, at the equator,
It's a slight churn of
Okay,
it's a slight
Yep.
churn of
at the
steering
equator,
wheel.
at 1,000, at almost double the speed of sound, we're going to take off at double the speed of sound going in one direction. And we're going to take the plane off, right? And going straight.
Sure thing.
Yeah. And I'm going to continue to rotate underneath that plane, correct?
Yes.
And the airport that's 100 miles away is going to rotate underneath the plane, towards the plane, correct?
The Earth is going to continue to rotate. Yes.
So, if that plane were to either turn any which way, it would experience the Earth coming towards it as it goes any direction from then on, because the Earth is rotating underneath that airplane.
Yeah, and that would be
And therefore,
the Etvos effect, right? That's the Etvos effect.
okay, so
when you're
Earth
going
would still be
towards the
so
location.
airports. So Earth would be rotating towards me, and I would get to that destination faster. And if it was rotating
Yes.
away from me, I would have to try to catch up to get up to the speed. Because as soon
Yes.
as the plane took off, it left the spinning reference frame, right?
Yeah, but that amount is very small because you still retain the 1,000 miles
Over
an
10
hour.
hours, over 10 hours, over 10 hours, it's a no, I'm not retaining the 1,000 miles an hour.
Yes,
You
yes,
just
you
said
do.
it deviated.
You
As
do.
soon as I took off, like the bullet, it was shot, and it now maintains a straight path while we rotate underneath it, right? It's not maintaining its angular velocity towards the direction of the spin,
You do.
because then if it was, yeah. But no, you're saying the bullet also maintains momentum, correct?
Yes,
And the
yes.
plane maintains the momentum.
Yes,
Okay, but how can it maintain momentum and deviate?
because it has engines. Oh,
If
it
it's
deviates.
maintaining,
It deviates because the Earth rotates underneath it. The reason you don't see it is because it has engines and it can make those adjustments. The bullet
no, it
can't
goes
make-
straight.
a bullet
It goes
can't make
straight.
those
You
adjustments.
already agreed. You agreed that when it takes off and leaves the the runway, and I'm watching it, I will see it appear to curve because I'm continually rotating while it just goes in a straight path like the bullet, because it has
Well-
engines, or it has a force of the gunpowder of the bullet.
You won't be
It's
able
going
to
in a
see-
straight line. It is not maintaining its angular momentum westward, or right.
So for a
Because
sniper,
if it did that, you would agree that I wouldn't see any deviation because it's maintaining that momentum sideways as well as forward.
So for a
right?
for a sniper trying to hit a target that's a long distance away, say a mile away. A mile away is a long distance sniper target. They can hit those targets, and due to Coriolis, they will miss it by inches. Right. So
Are you literally just repeating that like I don't know that that's
So-
the rhetoric
so
after
you're
what I
not-
just told you?
So you're not going to see it in the airplane. It's going
After
to be,
the airplane is in the air for 10 hours. A
Oh.
bullet is in the air for 10 seconds.
correct, right? So the airplane is making constant adjustments to its path.
No, I told you it's going straight,
It's
like
still
the
gonna-
bullet. See, an autopilot going
That's
straight,
not how-
and you
that's not how
agreed that
pilots-
I would see.
In that
I'm not.
case-
I'm telling you, this is a remote
Okay,
control
all right.
airplane that takes off and goes
all
fucking
right.
straight. Okay.
In that case,
And you
in that
agreed
case,
that
there
we
would
would
be-
see it deviate because we're rotating underneath
Right.
it, right? You agreed
Right.
that we would rotate underneath it and we would see it going straight.
Then in
But
that case,
it's
yes,
therefore
you
not.
would see-
It is not maintaining any angular momentum going sideways with the spin or rotation that
No.
I'm also happening to do. Like if I'm rotating and it's also maintaining that momentum, then we're both rotating at the same rate, and I wouldn't see a deviation.
It's the maintaining of that momentum that causes it to deviate. It gets ahead of the. So if I have an airplane that's taking off from the equator going north, right? It's traveling 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. It travels north.
It's going.
It travels north, and then what happens is that the ground underneath and north of the equator is traveling slower than 1,000 miles an hour, but the airplane is still traveling 1,000 miles an hour to the east in addition to going north, and therefore it gets ahead of the rotation of the Earth, and it will deviate from the straight line north because it retains its
Mic check.
rotation. You didn't hear anything, did you? You must have been cut out. I can hear you. I heard mic check. He's gone. Now he's back.
So it's at the equator facing north.
Right.
The plane is now going sideways it's going sideways at 1,000 miles an hour, right?
Yes, yes.
On the ground. And as soon as it takes off-
north at 700 miles an hour.
Right.
The plane's traveled 700 miles
So
an
it's
hour.
going north.
Right, north at 700
Sure,
miles an
it's
hour.
whatever.
It's going east at 1,000 miles an hour. The ground beneath it is going less than 1,000 miles an hour.
But that's not what you said. That's not what you said because I was standing on the airplane. I'm standing at the runway, and we're watching the airplane go straight out, and we're rotating underneath it as it takes off. That's what you
Right.
said.
Yeah, you won't see
It's
it.
not main. It's not main. No, it's not. If we were going to rotate underneath it, that means inherently that it's not maintaining momentum sideways
No, no,
at 1,000 miles an hour.
no,
If it was doing that, it would move it. No, you just said earlier that it doesn't.
You wouldn't see it. I said you wouldn't see it because it would be so small, because it's just taking off.
But
It's just
no,
taking
it would
off.
be there
It would
though.
be very-
But it would
be
still be there.
Yes, it would be there. Yes, it would be there.
Right. So, but it can't both be there and maintain its momentum. It can't do both.
It's
You
the
literally can't do that.
It's the maintaining of the momentum that causes the deviation.
Yeah, you've said that a bunch of times and you've been wrong every single time. How can I maintain my lane and deviate? If I'm driving on the highway, can I maintain my lane and deviate from it at the same time?
You're just. I don't get it. I don't get how you're getting this mixed up. It's the deviation. It's the maintaining of the momentum that causes it to deviate. So when the airplane is
Brenda,
traveling north.
You
at
you said when an airplane, yeah, it travels north. It's both traveling north and sideways at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yes.
But if it was traveling sideways at 1,000 miles an hour, me standing at the runway would not see any deviation. It would not exist at all.
But
And
you
you
were-
say it would exist somewhat.
But
So pick one.
you were also going 1,000 miles an hour to the east.
Right, but what I'm saying is that if we are going, you can't both see a deviation and see the plane maintain its momentum at 1,000 miles an hour.
It would deviate because as it traveled north, the ground beneath it is traveling slower than 1,000 miles an hour, and so it gets ahead of the ground.
Okay, so after about 1 hour, it turns around, does a 180, and goes back to where it was, so that it always goes into where roughly it's going to be 1,900 miles an hour, give or take. And it does that for 10 hours. You saying that the Earth is not rotating? Eventually, that airport is not going to be underneath my flight. Correct? You can't have both.
I don't know why it wouldn't, because if it turns around, it's still going to be retaining that 1,000 miles an hour to the east.
But again, how is it with air resistance and all this other stuff? And now once you've powered, you've now overpowered that momentum. And you can't have that momentum and have a Coriolis effect at the same time. You can't do that.
You can have more than one direction for things at a time. Things can have more than one direction of
Yeah, I know that. I know. And if so, basically, when the plane takes off, and not only is it going forward, but it's also going sideways or diagonally, in that case, at 1,000 miles an hour.
Right.
If it was doing that, we would not see any Coriolis effect because we're rotating at the same rate that it is. Therefore, we would not see any deviation, even a little bit.
No, but we would see it because
You just said.
as we move further with it, higher in latitude, right? We're moving slower.
And I said no. I said that the plane immediately takes a 180 and goes back, and then does a 180 and goes back and forth, so that you're always maintaining 1,000 miles an hour underneath you. You don't continue to go north. You can, if you're free to power those planes.
You'd spend a lot of fuel.
It doesn't matter in the example. Are you fucking kidding me? In this example, you're talking about fuel. You can still do it for 10 hours. Planes fly for 10 hours. Doesn't matter. Okay, they can just go back and forth. Who cares? In this example, if we're trying to prove the Earth is whatever, they make whatever. Jesus. So it's going back and forth so that the Earth is always rotating at 1,000 to 900 miles an hour underneath it at all times.
Yeah. And it would still retain all of that momentum the entire time.
Therefore, no Coriolis effect.
No, that would be the cause of the Coriolis that you would see.
What is? Oh my! You literally don't get this.
I don't know how to put it any differently. I'm doing the best I can. This is how I understand it. This is what I understand, and I don't know how to put it.
You're wrong. I know.
I don't know how to put it any differently than
I hear
what I
you.
already have. I don't know how.
You need to listen to someone else's explanation. You have a fundamental misunderstanding about how it would work.
I don't
You need to
think I
listen to someone else. Yeah, but
I
that's
don't
the
think I
problem.
do. I don't think so, but
How
I
can
don't-
you both maintain something and deviate from it at the same time? How can one of those things cause, how can deviation cause maintain?
No, it's the
Or maintaining
maintaining.
something cause the
The
deviation?
maintaining causes the deviation because
How can I?
because the Earth rotates
Causes deviation.
because the Earth rotates independent of me.
So, do you or do you not see Earth-based Coriolis effect?
Yes, we do.
Okay, but you just said, oh my God, I
You
just
won't
got
see
out.
it. You won't see it in some instances where it's incredibly small because it's something is only a momentary. It's 15 degrees an hour. It can be a very small degree of deviation. It would be very small. But if over long periods of time and you have
So
engines,
is the
then
Earth
you're gonna-
rotating?
Yes.
Is it rotating underneath a plane?
Yes.
If Earth is rotating underneath a plane, and the plane has engines and is free to power itself any which direction for virtually as long as it needs to,
Yes.
why is it that pilots don't account for that? Why don't they account for where the Earth is going to be once they get there?
I'm not a pilot.
They just fly in a direction
I'm not a pilot.
and they get there.
I'm not a pilot, but Big Blue from Blue Marble Science is a pilot, and I take him at his word. He has said that pilots take into account Coriolis. They
Okay.
make small adjustments during the flight to account for Coriolis, and he says that they are very small adjustments made over the course of a long flight. And that is the only thing I can go by. I don't know anymore because I am not a pilot. And that's the best I can do. And I'm going to have to go. I don't know what else to say anymore. I'm glad we had the talk, and I'm glad it didn't come to people shouting and yelling and stuff. I have done the best I can to explain what I understand. It's how I understand it. I don't know how to put it any differently. This is my position, and I thank you for engaging and doing your best to try to understand where I'm coming from. Thank you.